Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new video, and this time we are going to make a look to this deck that is a Rivals deck released by Games Workshop. So this is the Warhammer's Underworlds Nethermaze, the Deadly Depth Rivals deck. Okay, so I just take what we have here is a ready to play Rivals deck that you can play with any warband. Of course, not all the warbands will have will be suitable for this deck. So we are going to make a look in detail on the deck, and then we are going to see what are the warbands that can play. Let's start with the objective. I always like to start with the objective and then see how the other cards will complement or will help you to do the objectives. So this first objective is score this end of phase if during the previous activation step one or more enemy fighters were taken out of action and two or more friendly fighters are in cover access. So it requires some positioning, and of course you need to kill an enemy. Next one, scores this end of phase if during previous activation step one or more enemy fighters were taken out of action, so another one to kill, and one or more friendly fighters are within 1x of a feature token. This in principle is easier than this one, and this is these are two very similar, so you can even score two at the same time. Next one, this is a very curious one. Score this end of the phase, and the only thing is that so far we have end of phase. Okay, this is another one, end of phase, 3 points. Okay, the other ones were 1 point, 3 glory points. Score this end of phase if 4 or more fighters are in a cover X, so 4 fighters can be from any warband, and this is not that strange, eh? And then there's after you score, so you need 4 fighters in a cover, and after you score, discard per 1 opponent, and that opponent's warband deals 1 damage to 1 fighter from your warband that is in a cover X. Okay, so yeah, most likely you will receive some damage, because most likely you will need to have some of your fighters in cover X to help to score this one. So 3 glory points is not a bad thing. This one is a duel. Score this end of phase, another end of phase, if there are more enemy fighters out of action than there are surviving enemy fighters, and 1 or more enemy leaders are out of action. So you have to kill the leader, and there have to be more enemy fighters that survive. Again, another aggressive card to score. Sorry. Here we have the first search. Score this immediately after a friendly fighter's attack action if the target was taken out of action, and the attacker and or the defender was in cover X. Again, very similar to the previous ones, but this is the immediate effect. So 3 killing. Well, in reality we have 4 killing cards of 5, and we have 1 search. We'll put the search apart because it's important. Okay, next one, another search. So with the second search, score this immediately after an activation if your leader is on a feature token in enemy territory and your leader is vulnerable. This is very risky and difficult to score. Okay, for 2 points this is quite a mediocre card, even being a search, and most likely you will only be able to score it in the last turns if you have exposed your leader, but it's a search. Next one, score this end of the phase if 1 or more friendly fighters are each on a future token in enemy territory that was an objective token at the start of the round. So first, most likely this cannot be scored in round one, okay? Because you need a objective that was upright. I'm also interested to see how this will work in the future, once, yeah, if it's a future token that was an objective token at the start of the run, okay, it can still be a objective. So, but this is going to be, yeah, it's not easy for one glory point. It's very situational, okay, compared to these two are much easier. This one is quite difficult, this one is also difficult one, 3 guys on cover. So far the objectives are not that easy to score. This can be scored, but it's very situational. That's one. Score this end of the phase if one or more enemy fighters are out of action. Have 2 or more upgrades. So you need to kill enemies that have upgrades, and how many you need? If 1 or more. So you have to kill an enemy that have 2 upgrades. Again, you depend on your opponent, not only on yourself. Sorry. And next one, score this at the 3rd phase. Okay. Not very fan of these ones. If there are 2 or more surviving friendly fighters, and each of those friendly fighters is on an objective token in the same territory. So, but it's so it's 3 points. 3 points. This is not bad for 3 points. Okay. You need to surviving guys that have to hold objective. Of course, you have 3. 2 of them have to be an objective, not all of them. This end of 3rd. Score this end of the phase if 1 or more friendly fighters are in cover X, and in cover X, 1 or more friendly fighters are on a future token, and 1 or more friendly fighters are in lethal X. So this is demanding you to put the board with lethal X's. Okay, and then you can score, and of course the one that is on cover can be on cover and a future, so you can score with 2 guys, 2 points. It's not, it's forcing you to get damage because you have to go to a lethal X, unless you are a flyer and then you don't receive damage. These guys in the picture will receive damage. They don't have the, unless they have changed, maybe now they have the fly option, I don't know. But yeah, it depends on the warband that you play with. It's not a bad card because it's 2 points. It's not a low. The next one is score this end of the phase if more enemy fighters were taken out of action in this round than there are objective tokens on the battlefield. Okay, again, this can be very situational, can be very edition dependent. No, can be quite easy to score. And score this immediately after an activation step if 2 or more friendly fighters with charge tokens are on a future token. You need if 2 or more, so it's not easy neither. For 1 point, you need, so objective overall, I would say there are some that can be scored quite easily, but they are not easy to score. So not easy objective to score here. Let's go to the ploys. Sorry. Pick one feature token, push that feature token 1x closer to the nearest enemy. This synergy with all your cards and will help you to score. Okay, because you can move one of these covers to an enemy, and then it will help you to score. Not a bad card, not a bad combination. Next one, range 1 attack. Making the next activation, the step that targets an enemy fighter on a future token has Cliff and Grievous. This is quite good. Okay, giving Cliff and Grievous, again, synergizing that the enemy have to be on cover. Next one, choose one fighter, flip each future token that is not objective token and that is within 2 X's. This is quite powerful because, especially with some, if you need objectives to score, this is quite interesting. On top, you can force the enemy to be out of cover, so it's not a bad card. Plus 1 damage to the next action if the plus 1 damage to the first attack action in the next activation step that targets enemy on future token. Okay, future token is an objective as well. +1 dice to the first attack action made by a friendly fighter that has one or more supporting fighters. The effect persists until the friendly fighter with one or more supporting fighters makes an attack. So, or until end of the round. So +1 dice. So you can play it any moment. You have +1 dice if you have supporting attack. So most likely you will place when you are going to do that. +1 dice. It's not bad. This card is not bad, but you need a supporting fighter. You need to prepare for that. Next one. Choose one friendly fighter in a cover X. Deal 1, 2, or 3 damage to the chosen fighter. Then roll X magic dice, where X is the amount of damage you dealt to the chosen fighter. You cannot choose to deal more damage to the chosen fighter than their wounds characteristic. On a roll of swirling, one or more swirling, gain 1 bloody point. Okay, so you do damage to yourself to gain some bloody points. Can be maybe interesting at the end of the game. +1 defense to friendly fighters in a cover X in the next activation. +1, okay, again on covers. At the end of the next activation, step deal 1 damage to each fighter in a HX. This is quite good. So a lot of cards to deal damage to your opponents. Fighters that are not on a future token at the start of the next activation step. This is a slowdown card. You give move 2 to all opponents that all miniatures that are not on a feature. Of course, you will play this when it's time for the opponent to play. Choose up to 2 friendly fighters. Push the chosen fighters 1x. At the start of the push of each fighter must be after the push, each fighter must be in a cover X or in enemy territory. So it's quite good, especially for aggressive decks that, like this one, have to play aggressive. So you will need an aggressive and quite durable warband to play here. Now we go to the objects, or to the upgrades, is the point. And then we have the Kurt boarding axe. Have 1 range 4 attacks with source and 2 damage, and have cliff. The bounty gain and then the bounty you gain is a spent glory point, but it's not a bad weapon. Next one, -1 damage to range 3 attacks. Again, anti-arrows that target this fighter, of course. Then we have this one, action choose an enemy fighter on a future token, push the fighter to access closer to this fighter, then break this card. Okay, this is quite interesting because you mess up with the positioning of your enemy, and then you're pushing the enemy close to you so you can hit him hard. So I will play this after the activation of an enemy. Reaction: after an activation step in which 1 or more fighters were taken out of action, push this fighter 1x. Okay, not a big deal. Next one is a denizen. +1 to this fighter's attack actions. After this fighter attack roll, remove 1 attack dice from that roll. So +1 dice to this fighter's attack action, and after this attack roll, remove 1 attack dice from that roll. Reaction: after your activation step, if this fighter is in cover X, push this fighter 1x. This one, next one is very interesting. It's an artifact that is giving you +1 attack actions, have ensnare, and this fighter have the fly. So you have someone that have Grievous. This is a very interesting card. On top you can fly, so this combines with the card that you have to be on a lethal X, because you can be with this guy and then you don't get damage. Here we have an illusion. This fighter cannot be target of an attack action unless the attacker is adjacent. Also quite interesting. You force the enemy to be adjacent to you. This is a map. If this fighter is holding an objective, this fighter can make an action, and this action is flip one objective token. This fighter is on. It has to be objective, so you will convert the objective into a cover. Then gain 1 spend glory point and give this fighter 1 charge token and break this card. At the start of the first round, choose this fighter and one other fighter, friendly fighter. Place each fighter in the X that was occupied by the other fighter. When you choose them, then break this card. Sorry, let me read again. At the start of the third round, choose this fighter and one other friendly fighter. Place each fighter in the X that was occupied by the other fight when you choose them. Okay, I'm not understanding. Place each fighter in the X that was occupied by the other. Okay, you swap. Okay, now I understand. Oh, sorry, you swap and then okay. It's a card that allows you to swap two guys. And the third turn. Okay, it's not that good. The last one is deal 1 damage to this fighter when do 1 damage to this fighter, and then choose one enemy fighter on the future token, deal 1 damage to the chosen fighter, and then break this card. So you receive 1 damage and you give 1 damage. So overall, not the strongest deck, but these are rivals. So it's a deck that I think is forcing you to play quite aggressively. I think it's more aggressive than positioning. Have some aggro, so it's a little bit a mixed deck. But I think it will work better. I think with the bands that have some aggressiveness, and you can improve this with the upgrades and plots. Not a horrible deck, not a good deck. I think it's a so-so, but let me see. I will try, and I will maybe in the future come back and talk more about this deck, because I wanted to try it maybe tomorrow. That's all for now, so I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please give a like if you like this video, and as usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.